Your lungs are burning, your muscles are locked up, and every single fiber of your being is screaming at you to just quit. Would you? Welcome to today's Explainer. We're going to deconstruct the Special Forces Readiness Exam to see exactly how instructors systematically use compounding physical stress to isolate, expose, and evaluate pure human grit.
Our starting point is incredibly blunt. As one instructor puts it, we're going to start applying pain as a remedy. It drops us right into the high-stakes reality of this exam. Because look, the question isn't whether it's going to hurt. The real question is, what happens when your physical body completely fails and your mind absolutely begs you to throw in the towel?
So let's dive into Section 1, the initial shock. Before the really deep psychological warfare even begins, the instructors have to shatter the illusions of overconfident candidates right out of the gate. They do this with uncompromising baseline standards. Just listen to this sleep-deprived timeline. Night 1 kicks off immediately with a PT test. Then, morning 2 hits with a weapons issue, a full uniform swim test, and an obstacle course. By morning 3, you're facing a fast-paced 5-mile run. It is a relentless schedule, meticulously designed to just constantly compound physical and mental stress.
But here's the kicker. Instructors aren't just looking for physical standards. They are looking for the mindset behind those standards. That initial PT test, it easily splits the crowd between the prepared and the unprepared. The cadre aren't just out there counting push-ups. They want to see who gets caught off guard and who actually has the heart to put out maximum effort the literal second that adrenaline spikes.
Which leads us to a really fascinating question. What happens when the mask comes off? The instructors know that people walk in wearing a mask of how they want to be perceived. Well, day 2 is specifically engineered to rip that mask right off. Sudden pressure combined with zero sleep exposes the raw, unfiltered character hiding underneath.
Take this single rule during the morning gear issue: 1 arm's length. Candidates are handed a dummy rifle, and the instruction is absolute. Do not move more than 1 arm's length from that rifle. If a cadre can grab it, you fail. In a simulated life or death environment, this basic test of attention to detail results in brutal physical punishment for anyone who loses focus in the fog of fatigue.
All right, moving on to Section 2, compounding the stress.
This is where the cadre take that physical baseline and rapidly turn up the dial. They intentionally exhaust the candidates to induce panic and expose their ultimate breaking points. During the swim test, a stark divide emerges right away. Candidates jump into a lake wearing heavy combat boots. On one side, you have the guys who quit. They give in to the inner voice, they panic, and they ask for an easy exit just 3 feet from the dock. On the other side, the ones who override. They mentally override the shock, control their breathing, and absolutely refuse to let panic win. The instructors literally stand there and watch candidates have an internal crisis of faith right in the water. Then the trap snaps shut on the obstacle course. Now, it might look simple on the surface, but it's a psychological nightmare built on compounding fatigue. Think about these elements. You've got upper body burnout going from dips straight into pull-ups. Then a rope climb with wet boots and literally zero traction. Suddenly, you're 30 feet in the air, triggering a fear of heights while your muscles are completely smoked. And finally, a claustrophobic water crawl right under razor wire. It takes basic physical tasks and turns them into terrifying mental hurdles.
And then comes day 3, where the pressure relies heavily on this number, 40 minutes. That's the maximum time allowed for the 5-mile run. Candidates wake up before the sun, completely sleep-deprived and physically broken, and now they have to break that 40-minute mark. So many overconfident runners completely blow up here, simply because they didn't realize how much harder running becomes when your body is already in a deep, deep physical deficit.
Let's move to Section 3, the team crucible.
This is where individual physical exhaustion collides with the ultimate test of character, choosing selflessness over self-preservation. The scenario for the water can carry exercise is intense. You're operating in a denied area. You have to carry 30 heavy water jugs and ammo crates to resupply a sister team, and you have to move tactically without spilling a single drop. The psychological dynamic here is the whole point. The sheer crushing weight rapidly breaks the weak candidates, and that forces the strong candidates to overcompensate, sprinting around to pick up the slack. It perfectly exposes who steps up and who hides when the team is suffering.
And the instructors, they show absolutely zero mercy. As one of them says, as soon as everyone starts actual muscle failure, just change the exercise. Guys, this is ruthless psychological warfare. The cadre will intentionally change the parameters precisely when candidates reach physical failure. It proves that no matter how bad things get, you always have to be ready for it to get worse.
Watch how this compounds during the infamous down pilot task. Candidates have to recover a 200-pound sandbag simulating a casualty. But first, they have to tie lashings on thick metal poles to build a frame. Because they are under massive cognitive fatigue at this point, their exhausted minds fail to tie the proper knots. The result? The frame shifts, literally squeezing the candidates and turning a heavy load into a physically crushing nightmare for the entire team.
Through all of this chaos, even while candidates are tasked with carrying massive 6-man Zodiac boats over their heads, instructors are ruthlessly hunting for these core criteria for success: unshakable integrity, self-starting initiative, mental override of pain, and total team focus. It's never just about carrying a boat. It's about whether you exhibit those specific traits when your body is screaming in agony.
Which brings us to Section 4, the final assessment. We've reached the climax of the evaluation, the punishing unknown distance ruck march, and the brutal reality of the cadre board reviews. Look at how different candidates handled this final march. You have the Terminator, a highly muscular guy, who finds out the hard way that raw muscle fails without pacing. He suffered severe cramping and needed IV fluids, proving that physical size is often a massive disadvantage during prolonged suffering. Then you've got the overconfident civilian who busted the time standard due to poor pacing in the heat. But the experienced ex-Army candidate, he maintained a steady walking stride, paced himself perfectly, and passed.
After crossing that finish line totally and utterly physically destroyed, they have to face the board and answer this terrifying question: can you defend your failures face to face? This is the suspenseful final filter. Candidates sit opposite the cadre and receive highly uncomfortable, completely unvarnished criticism about every single mistake they made over the entire weekend.
Under this intense pressure, a really stark contrast emerges. On one side, taking accountability. One candidate owned his poor time, admitted his grip strength was weak, but highlighted that he absolutely refused to quit. On the other side, making excuses. Another candidate cheated on land navigation by taking an easy route along the road, shined his flashlight, and then actually argued with the instructors claiming he didn't know the rules. Yeah, that doesn't fly.
And that brings us to a definitive reality check from the board. I can't in good faith lower our standards for anybody, regardless of what I think about them. The Special Forces standard is absolute. You might have a great life story, and you might be incredibly likable, but these instructors will never ever compromise the standard just to let you through.
During these reviews, you'll hear them constantly warn against becoming the gray man. That's a candidate who hides in the middle of the pack, actively avoids leadership, and fails to fill gaps when the team is struggling. The board despises this. Surviving the physical pain just isn't enough. You have to proactively lead and problem solve.
Ultimately, the whole shebang boils down to one singular question from the cadre: would I want you on my team in a life-or-death situation? Every single torturous obstacle over the weekend is purposefully designed to answer this one specific question.
And this is the core takeaway of our explainer today. The evaluation isn't just about physical fitness. It is a methodical deconstruction of your mind to expose your true character. Physical strength is totally meaningless without the psychological resilience to override pain, abandon your ego, and put the team first.
So let's leave you with this final provocative thought to chew on. When your body reaches its absolute breaking point, what is your mind going to tell you to do? Will you find an excuse, or will you find a way to override the pain? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and remember to never stop pushing your own limits.